Hello, and welcome to the December episode of Backlight Boston presented by Luminarium Dance Company. This is Twyla, and this month we have Kimberleigh Holman and Merli Guerra of Luminarium Dance joining us. I hope you enjoy. This week we have Kimberleigh Holman and Merli Guerra, co-artistic directors of Luminarium Dance, joining us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So it's been 5 years now since you both decided to start Luminarium. What was kind of the catalyst for starting the company? Why did you guys decide, to start it here in Boston?
Well, I mean, honestly, the catalyst was a bit of a funny story. We had kind of parted ways after college, not intentionally, but life got crazy. And all of a sudden I got a text message from Kim one night that was like, hey, we should start a dance company. And maybe I was crazy, but I wrote back and said, oh my gosh, we totally should. But honestly, when we got together and we started talking, it was really nice to realize that we both were looking for exactly the same thing. We were both looking for an opportunity to create work that was merging light and dance in a new way that wasn't in Boston.
It was really nice to, get together for that first time. We were like, let's meet wherever in Lexington after a few tries. And to just find someone that was looking for the exact, let's do this. And our vision didn't really have to change because it was pretty close to the same darn thing.
Right.
So.
Right. And the idea of a dance company, too, was not necessarily in the cards right off the bat. We were like, we're going to do a show.
Yep.
And if the show goes well, maybe this is something that we can pursue. And then we were
Sure.
also like, but if the show does not go well,
Abort.
we're out.
That's it.
So obviously you guys have had kind of a lot of things that you guys have done, from your first show, Fractured, to, what you guys are currently working on, with the Sleep Runner. Kind of what's the biggest, mistake you guys have made? What's kind of the biggest triumph you guys have had? What's the biggest surprise?
Oh, boy.
What's the biggest mistake we've made?
Something came to my mind instantly.
Yeah, me too. I don't think we can legally talk about it.
I don't think so. But note to viewers, do not use PVC glue if you've never used it before.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because when we first started out, we definitely were not that far away from our college days. So I feel like Fracture, while it was definitely a very good product and a professionally polished product, it felt much more like a collegiate endeavor in that it was, here's a piece. Here's a completely unrelated piece.
Yeah.
Here's another unrelated piece. And people really responded to it well. But as the company has matured and the dancers now have a sense of our style, we have a sense of each other's styles.
Definitely.
And things have kind of evolved. Now the Sleep Runner is a completely different endeavor, what we're doing right now.
Yeah. I think also talking about perhaps one of our biggest triumphs from kind of like a business model perspective, I'm really satisfied personally, and I feel really great at the end of every show, every year, whatever, that we kind of hold our ground from a kind of budgetary perspective, from a logistical perspective. Like, we don't really compromise in our business plan.
Right.
In being a successful dance company, not just in product and what we're creating and feeling really great about that, but kind of the day-to-day, how we run things, and, paying the dancers and keeping people kind of not can't say sustained, not yet, but keeping.
But the company's sustained.
Absolutely.
And that's what's really exciting, is that for a lot of people in the Boston and Cambridge dance scene, we hear again and again, at what point do we call this a profession versus a hobby? Because so much of their own money is going into it. And that's exactly why when we first got together, we were like, all right, if Fracture does not do well, we leave. And then both shows sold out, and it's just been, rolling
Definitely.
along ever since. So
It's nice to have the balance of, like, we're mutually kind of setting this line for ourselves, and
Right.
we have this hard limit of, like, if we don't accomplish this, we need to rethink this.
And that's obviously something you're constantly reassessing,
Yeah.
and constantly saying, here's what we need to, do and change.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, if you could talk to yourself 5 years ago, and, some of the things that you've learned, what would you be saying? What would that conversation that you would be having with yourself?
take the security deposit very seriously. Don't spill
Seconded.
things on the floor. That will burn a hole into it. You'll lose your deposit.
Or learn that the things you're using could burn a hole in the floor. Just in general, I think. Watch your hands, wear gloves. I think the great part about kind of this journey that we've been on is so much of it is learning process, and the journey just kind of keeps, even year to year, month to month, the journey keeps evolving kind of from what we're doing, from what our hands are on, and from what we're thinking about and kind of doing every day. So I very much appreciate kind of the learning process.
So actually jumping off of what Kim's saying, I recently was back at Mount Holyoke College at an entrepreneurship panel, and they asked a very similar question of what would you go back and tell yourself, because we're basically the past for you, these students.
Sure.
And one of the things that just instantly came to mind was always just ask it to do something, because we have had so many awesome opportunities unfold purely because we were like, I'm just going to pick up the phone, call, and see if we can do this crazy thing.
Nice.
And they say, wow, we're amazed you reached out. Yes, we want to make that happen. And I think that's part of our learning process, and part of what makes Luminarium really exciting is that we're not just doing the cookie cutter stage thing, we're also reaching out to all sorts of places and having these experiences.
Don't be timid. Good.
Exactly.
So Kim, Merli, you've had kind of careers that are outside of Luminarium, and as part of that, with what you do, Kim, with lighting and choreography for, different colleges and high schools and middle schools, and, Merli, what you're doing as far as graphic design, what's kind of the single biggest success that you've had outside of Luminarium that's, helped inspire, what you guys are doing today and some of the, work that you guys are producing?
From a completely outside of a career at Luminarium perspective, I think a recent big success personally was I was approached to come on board a show from kind of an artistic perspective, which is something, so I choreograph obviously a lot of musical theater in the area, different institutions, and usually it's just you come on as a choreographer, you do your job, you know exactly what that job is, and then you leave. But this time I was kind of asked to come on board as like more of an artistic consultant, kind of more because of my work with Luminarium and the lighting and kind of the more artistic work that I do with the company. And it's nice to merge kind of my like, all right, let's go be really snazzy with a musical, and then the work I really love to do that we do, and kind of bring those two worlds together. So that's, a recent success that I'm really kind of thrilled by.
Yeah, that's awesome, by the way. I really love that. This is like fairly recent news. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
So what about you, Merli? So what, kind of something that's happened, kind of outside of Luminarium,
Sure.
that's inspired some of the work that you've done, for Luminarium?
Well, it's funny, Russell Holman. You brought up the fact that I do graphic design, and that's true. I mean, I primarily, I work for Art New England magazine currently. I've worked for New Repertory Theater and a bunch of other places before that. But I think actually my work as an historical interpreter is really what's found its way into Luminarium. I spent 5+ years at Louisa May Alcott Orchard House in Concord, being a tour guide there. I worked at the Paul Revere House. I've done a number of other historical work in between. And so for me, one of the things that's really important is each year we do a culturally community-based outreach project. And so this past year was working with Arlington, with the water tower, and just seeing the way that the community reacted to that was so powerful. I mean, to have over 300 people attend an outdoor night event of ours was just, it was incredible. And for a solid month after, I was saying to Kim, I was like, this is incredible. We were getting in our email just message after message from artists. I received poetry about the event. I received parents saying, wow, our kids are so inspired now and want to learn more about dance and the arts. And also mainly it came back to this history angle where people were like, we now are looking at the water tower in a very different way. We're not going to take it for granted. This is a piece of our town's history. So for me, that's something that's been really special to be able to bring into Luminarium's programming.
Awesome.
So being December, the last month, what can people look forward to from Luminarium for 2015?
Well, okay, so first off, we've been saying nearly 5 years this whole time, so we're actually just finishing our 4th season right now. And so next year is really exciting for us because it is the start of our
the big year 5.
Big year 5,
Yeah.
exactly. And so we've got a lot of really cool projects. One of the projects that we know we're doing is taking us back to our roots out in the valley. We're going to be doing one of our outreach projects with the Eric Carle Museum, and involving literature and dance. And we've got our Dance Plus series that's continuing as well.
All over the city, providing kind of some free programming to communities that might not get it. Also running our Dance Plus series because it was so popular and so versatile, I guess. So we're kind of taking it around a little bit to communities that want us to come to them. So Dance Plus 2 ways.
Exactly. And then there's always festivals. Our festival season is always very full. We've already got a couple things on the books that we can't exactly announce just yet. But if you want to know more, we will have our debut blast. If you want to sign up for our quarterly newsletter, folks can do that. And at the start of the year, we announce everything that's going down. And it's really exciting. We've got a whole bunch of different collaborators that want to team up with us this year, including
Dance Plus dogs. Oh, thank you.
Exactly.
So if people want to check out, more of your work or come see a show, how would they learn more about you guys?
Luminariumdance.org.
Yeah. First and foremost, I mean, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on Twitter. What aren't we on?
Yeah, we're on everything. We've got a blog.
Well, Kim, Merli, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
having us.
Now get out of my living room.
And now, events from the Boston dance community. Isn't it unbelievable all the things that Luminarium has accomplished over the past 4 seasons? Thank you so much to Kimberleigh and Merli of Luminarium for joining us and for allowing me to host this web series over the past year. If you'd like to reach us, we're on Twitter at Backlight Boston, or you can email us at info@luminariumdance.org. Twyla and I would like to thank you so much for the past season. Thanks.